Welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. Today our flight will bring us to the southern ice caps. Our scientists have determined that we have done no science in the ice caps, and because it is a relatively close area, going there will offer a plethora of scientific experiments that we can run, hopefully building up enough science that we will finally be able to buy those fuel pumps that I keep talking about, which will enable me to start making, or enable us, I should say, I don't want to discount the Kerbals, to start making missions around the moon. Our craft today is going to consist of 3 solid booster rockets, which will take us up to a height of around 10 kilometers, we hope, and from there our main rocket will fire, setting us on a southerly course, putting us into a suborbital arc, hopefully terminating above the ice caps. Once we enter the atmosphere, we'll deploy our parachutes. We have 3 parachutes for this mission, 2 offset on one side, as well as our nose cone parachute. The nose cone parachute has much longer strings than the 2 side parachutes. This will put our craft into a downward angled position where the capsule will take the brunt of the impact upon landing, because let's face it, we know that those capsules are tough, and Jebediah, although our most seasoned Kerbal is not as important as the science of which he carries. So, let me finish talking about that, I suppose. When we impact the surface on this edge, we will then fall over onto this edge where we will rest. From that position, we will be able to do an EVA and take not only a surface report, but also get surface samples and return them to the capsule. We have to do it this way because the Kerbals that we are employed for have not researched or developed any ladder technology, and thus we have to make do. For our scientific payload on this mission, we have 2 goo containment cells. These cells are duplicated not just to provide balance to our rocket, but also with the risky way that we are trying to land, it is very likely that one of them may be damaged. We also have our science lab, our junior science lab, so we can take even more samples and readings from the caps, which will boost our scientific progress that much further. Now, with that all said, let's get our bearings here. This is a night flight, of course, so we will have minimal information available to us from the landscape as we fly by, and we'll be relying mostly on our gimbal here for our headings, and that's just fine. We are seasoned rocketeers here. So we will launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A very slight southern angle, and turn on our SAS. Jebediah, of course, more launches under his belt than anybody else in the program, still gets giddy preparing for a launch, and as you can see, the sense of wonderment as we take off is not lost on him. Passing 5 kilometers now, about a third of our solid fuel left, coming up on 8 kilometers now. Looks like we're going to burn out a little early. Throttle up the main rocket. A little bit more of an angle on us. About 220 degrees. Looks good. Climbing up to 230 should still be okay. As we come up on 18 kilometers, we will check our navigation, see how we're doing. Looks like we are doing quite well, pretty much on the money from where we want to be. And because of that, we're going to angle. That's too much angle. way too much angle. Very, very shallow apoapsis. It's going to really hurt us. The rocket kind of fell over on me as I was trying to tilt it, and it's still fighting me. We're going to cut the engines. We're going to wait till we get out of the atmosphere when there's a little bit less fight going on, and we're going to try to make a correction at the apoapsis. "86 units of fuel, 300. That'll be a little tight. Let's try to execute this a little bit earlier. That looks like it'll be pretty good. 41 seconds till that burn. Get our angle locked in. That looks good. 45 units of fuel left, which is honestly more than I thought I would have, so that we might be able to do a course correction. We're going to be a very shallow on our entry, so we might actually want to make one more tiny course correction at the apoapsis in a minute here to just bring us out over the edge so we don't risk falling short. As it stands, I think I would land right on the edge, and that's just a little bit too close for me. I don't want another failed mission like the last one. So we'll just push this out a little bit. Because we're so shallow, I know that that arc is going to get cut way off. And I realize now that I did not put an antenna on this craft, which means that I'm not going to be able to take a capsule crew report of flying over the ice caps, because I want to have that crew report when we are on the ground. And that's a mistake. I really should have thought about that instead of flying by the seat of my pants, but again, that's just not the way Kerbals do things. So, with that said, we'll fast forward here until we get back into the atmosphere, because let's face it, we've done the suborbital several times. There are the ice caps there. You can see the sun just slowly starting to rise. Now, if this arc holds, we might be able to make a super risky EVA observation. Of the ice caps. Jebediah, no stranger to danger. Let's get him out there and get ready. Make sure he's holding on. Almost there. Coming into the atmosphere now. This is where it's going to start to get tricky. Slowly he's drifting up. Still in the upper atmosphere. Come on, you can do it, buddy. You can do this. I have faith. Atmosphere's starting to get thick. I get one more shot. Getting greedy. Come on, you're flying over it. I don't want to risk his life over something silly like that. So we will go ahead, grab the crew report. Still technically not over the ice caps, huh? Alright. Just double check our data. Looks like even if we max out the arc, which of course we won't because of wind resistance, we will definitely be on this continent. Decouple the rocket. I'm going to assume that because we were technically in the atmosphere instead of in the suborbital while we were over the ice caps, that's why we weren't able to make that proper observation. Which is a shame, but that's how that goes. Gonna get the capsule into the proper position here. Flip us around. Oops. Oops, something you never want to hear on a real space flight. I used the parachutes a little early. It shouldn't be too terrible for us. Yeah, should be okay. We'll keep telling ourselves that. You look down and see a sheet of shining white ice. If you stare at it too long, your eyes start to water. That's worth 3.5 science. I'll take it. It's not much, but every bit helps. Already have that, so we're not going to worry about it. Still plenty of power left. Beautiful ice caps. The Polar Express rocket, nowhere to be seen. The moon, the sun, all is right in the world. Our parachute's open, and we look like we're angled pretty well, the way that we wanted. 400 meters left to fall. Jebediah bobbling his head, humming a little tune to himself. And we're coming up to the end of our descent here. Very rough looking terrain. Now, because of the way we're landing, I tried to make it so that our goo containment centers, and to a lesser degree our battery, will keep us from wobbling too much. We look like we're falling a little quickly there. And we roll onto our back, but should be able to roll back. Yeah. I don't know what kind of torque control these Kerbals have, but all the more power to them. Observe the mystery goo. From the ice caps, we get 3 science, not as much as I was hoping for, but I'll take it. Science Bay Junior, it's worth 7.5 science. Keep that data. Let's get out here. Let go. I don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary. 2.4. And it looks like this is not going to yield nearly as much science as I was hoping. With 9 for my surface sample. So, technically a successful mission. I was hoping for 40 science for this mission, and I'm not going to be anywhere close to that. Oops, that's still an old habit. Let's go ahead and, well, since we're here, we might as well take the second sample. No sense letting it go to waste, even though it's not going to be worth diddly squat. Keep that data. Recover our vessel. $29 science. 7 experiments, 29 science. The chunk of ice, worth 9. That was the best thing we did there. So that hurts. That hurts. I believe we were looking for 45 to get to the next chunk here. 90. We were looking for 90. 45 would have been for the advanced rocketry. So, fell very short. We still have 61 science to garner, and I guess we'll have to wait till next time when we can launch another flight. Thanks for watching, and as always, the disappointing flights are sometimes just a part of the course.